Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, Eretz Tov, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our Back to Basics series of classes where we combine the study of Tanakh and the study of Shulhan Aruch. We are in Sefer Bereshit, Perek Gimel. For those that are online, there is a link for you to access the text for both the Tanakh portion and as well as the Shulchan Aruch portion. I want to welcome everybody here online, everyone in person, everybody that is listening on a recording, on our podcast, findingholiness.buzzsprout.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, rate, review, share. It goes a lot to spread Torah, and all it takes is a couple of clicks. So we thank you for your support. And without further ado, we are on Perek Gimel, Pasuk Kaf Bet. We are at the end of the story with the Etz Hadat, the tree of knowledge. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has already informed Adam, Chava, and the snake of their respective punishments. And they, I guess they had no choice but to accept them. This is what God wills. And these punishments last with us until today. The Perek concludes with just one small little piece of the exile from Gan Eden, from Adam and Chava. So let's read it. Vayomer Adonai Elohim. God said, Hen ha'adam haya ke'achad mimenu. Behold, Adam is like one of us. Ladat tov hara, to know and distinguish between good and evil. Ve'ata, now pen yishlach yado, lest he stretch out his hand, ve'lakach gam etz ha'chayim, if he's going to eat from the tree of life, ve'achal v'chai le'olam, he will eat it and live forever. So God did not want that. So vayishalechehu Adonai Elohim mi Gan Eden, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends him out of Gan Eden, la'avod et adama, to work the land, asher lukach misham, for he was taken from there. By Garesh et ha'adam, and he separated Adam. Son gerushin is like to divorce. He separated, vayashken mikedem legan Eden et hakeruvim, and he set him and made him dwell to the east of Gan Eden, and the kerubim, the cherubs, were there. Ve'et la tacherev amitapechet, holding a sword upside down, a sharp sword upside down. Lishmor et derech etz ha'chayim, to guard the path of the tree of life, to ensure that Adam nor Chava partook from it. So let's look at Rashi Pasuk Kaf Bet. Haya ke'achad mimenu, harei hu yachid batachtonim, kemo she'ani yachid ba'elyonim. Behold, that Adam is unique with regards to those who are below on earth, like I am unique on top. Umahi yachiduto, what is special about Adam? Ladat tov hara, he now can distinguish between good and evil. Mashe'en ken bivhema v'chaya, which is not the situation with regards to domesticated animals and hayot, wild beasts. Ve'ata pen yishlach yado, so God was worried that he might stretch his hand to eat from the etz ha'chayim. U'misheyichye le'olam, if he is to live forever, harei hu karov lehatot ha'beriot acharav, he can cause the future generations and the future beings to err, ve'lomar, and say, afu Eloha, Adam is also a god. Ve'yesh midrashe agada, Rashi tells us there are a lot of midrashim with regards to this and expositions about it. Aval en meyushavin al peshuto. However, the midrashim don't fit well with the text. Mikedem le Gan Eden, so he exiled him to the east of Gan Eden. Bemizracho shel Gan Eden, again the east of Gan Eden. Chutz lagan, outside of the Gan. Eta keruvim, these cherubs. Malache habala, these are angels of destruction. hacherev hamitapechet, holding a sword upside down, velah lahat, and it was the sharpness of the sword, le'ayem alav milikanes od lagan. This is to instill fear from in him, so that he shouldn't enter the gan. He then says, he quotes the lashon of lahat, targum lahat. The targum on the word lahat is shenan. Shenan is veshinantam levanecha, the sharpen. Kemo shelaf shenana uvlashon laaz lama umidrash agada yesh va'ani eni ba'ela lipshuto. Again, Rashi says there are a lot of agadic explanations with regards to this word lahat ha'irev, but he's only coming to give us the text, the simple pshat of what is happening. Okay, so that concludes Perek Gimel. We're moving on to Perek Daled with the infamous story of Kayin and Hevel. Adam yada et Chava ishto. Adam knew Chava, his wife. Here, although literally it means knew, it means that he knew her in an intimate way. Vatahar vateled et Kayin, and she conceived and she gave birth to Kayin. Vatomer, for she said, Kaniti ish et Adonai. I have acquired a man of God. But Tosef laledet, she continued to give birth. She gave birth more. Et achiv et Hevel, his brother, whose name was Hevel. But he Hevel ro'a etzon. Hevel was a shepherd. Kayin haya oved adama, and Kayin was a person who worked the land. Vahi miketz yamim, and it was after the end of a few days. Vayave Kayin miperi adama mincha l'Adonai. Kayin brings fruits from the land as a gift, as a present, as a korban to Hashem. Vehevel hevi gamhu mibechorot sono mechel behen. Hevel also brought a present to God. He brought from the first of his sheep and from the mechel behen and their fats. Vayisha Adonai el Hevel vel minchato. But God preferred that of Hevel and of his mincha. He preferred Hevel and his mincha and his present. But for Kayin and his present, lo sha'a, he didn't prefer, he didn't enjoy it. Vayicha lekayin me'od, vayipelu panav. So Kayin got upset, and he fell on his face. Okay, so let's look at some Rashi. Ve'adam yadab. Pasuk Aleph, Rashi says, "Kevar kodem ha'inyan shel mala." This whole story takes place before the story with the etz. Kodem shechata v'nitrad migan Eden. Before Adam sinned and was nitrad migan Eden. V'chen ha'erayon ve'aleda, and so too was the conception and the giving birth. Sheim katav vayeda Adam, if the Torah would have wrote vayeda Adam, nishma shel achar shenitrad hayu lo banim, it would imply that after he was separated from Gan, that's when he had boys. But in fact, he had children before. Kayin al Shem kaniti. Lashon of kaniti is acquired. I acquired. That's what Kayin comes from. Et Adonai kemo im Adonai, with God. Keshebara oti ve'et ishi, when God created me and my husband, levado bera'anu, he created us by ourselves. Aval bazeh, but now that I have a child who's Kayin, shutafim anu imo, we are now partners with him. We are partners in creation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As the Gemara tells us, there are three partners in creation: man, woman, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Et Kayin, et achiv, et Hevel. There are three times we see the word et here. Et Kayin, et achiv, et Hevel. Rashi says, Shelosha etim ribuyim hem. These three ets come to add something, to include something. Melamed sheteoma norda im Kayin, to teach me that there was a twin that was born with Kayin. Ve'im Hevel nordu shtayim. But with Hevel, there were two twins. Lekach ne'emar vatosef. That's why the word says vatosef, and she added. So meaning she added with the birth of Hevel more than that she added more than what she had with Kayin. So because with Kayin there was two people that were born, him and the twin, And with Hevel, there were 3 people born, him and 2 twins. Rashi, triplets, yeah. Rashi, Ra'etzon. So, Hevel was a Ra'etzon, he was a shepherd. Lefi shenitkalela ha'adama perash lo me'avodata. Because the ground was cursed, he felt he needed to separate himself from it. When something is cursed, it's not that gives you a reason to move away from it, not to come close and partake in it. So therefore, Hevel chose, I'm not going to work the land. I'm going to be a shepherd. However, Kayin was miperi adama. Kayin brought a korban to Hashem from the pri adama, mina garua. Rashi says from the stuff that wasn't so good. V'yesh agada sheomeret, there is a midrash that tells us zera pishtan haba. This was a type of flax. It was a type of flax. In fact, if you spell out the last letters of korban, take korban and you spell it out. Kuf is kuf vav pei. Reish is reish yud shin. Bet of korban is bet yud taf. And nun is nun vav nun. If you take the last letters of each of those words, it spells out pishtan, flax. So that we see that the korban of Kayin was that of pishtan. Vayisha. Vayisha means he turned towards. Rashi says vayifen, he turned towards. V'chen ve'el minchato lo sha'a. For Kayin's present, lo sha'a, lo pana, Rashi says. He didn't turn to, he didn't care for it. V'chen ve'alishu alifnu, we see many times. V'chen she'e me'alav, pene me'alav, different places in Tanakh where this verb is used. Vayisha can also mean yarda esh ve'lichacha minchato. Rashi says a fire came down and swallowed the minha of Hevel, and that's how we know that his korban was accepted and not of Kayin's. Okay, moving on to pasuk vav, back up in the Chumash. Vayomer Adonai el Kayin. God said to Kayin, Lama charalach? Why are you upset? Lama naflu panecha? Why is your face dejected? Why you fall down? What's going on? Haloim tetiv se'et. Behold, we're going to see what this pasuk means. A very difficult word. Rashi will explain. It's a desire unto you, and you will control it. So let's look at Rashi here. Pasuk Zayin. Halo im tetiv ketargumo perusho. Ketargumo perusho. Look at the targum. Targum says hala im tetiv ovadach ishtebech lach veimlat tediv ovadach leyom dina chatat netir. If you will not improve your deeds, so your sin will be retained until your day of judgment. Okay, so therefore you have an obligation. You have a yetzer now. You have this urge to sin. You have to improve your deeds so that you don't sin. And because if you do, it's going to stay with you till your day of judgment. La petach chatat roves, le petach kivrecha chatatecha shamur. To the opening of your grave will your sin be kept. Meaning it stays with you. Ve'elecha teshukato. Its desire unto you, shel chatat, of sin, hu yetzer hara. That's the evil inclination. Tamid shokek umitaveh leachshilecha. It's constantly trying to get you to stumble. If you want, if you really care, you have the opportunity to overcome the Yetzer Hara and to win the battles. But you have to want to do it. Okay, back to the pasuk. Pasuk chet. Vayomer Kayin el Hevel achiv. Kayin said to Hevel, his brother. The pasuk doesn't say what he said to him, but Rashi will address that. Vahi biotam basadeh, and it was while they were in the field. Vayakom Kayin el Hevel achiv vayargeu. Kayin got up over his brother Hevel and he killed him. Vayomer Adonai el Kayin. God said to Kayin, Hevel achicha, where is Hevel your brother? Vayomer lo yadati. He said, I don't know. Hashomer achi anochi. Am I the watchman of my brother? Vayomer me'asita. God said, what did you do? Kol deme achicha tzoakim elai min adama. the voice, the sound of the bloods of your brother are screaming at me from the ground. Ve'ata arurata, and therefore you are cursed. Mina adama shepatzta et pia, from the ground that opened up its mouth. Lakachat et demei achicha miyadecha, to absorb the blood of your brother from your hands. Ki ta'avod et adama lo tosef tet kocha lach. When you will work the ground, the ground will not give its strength to you. Not only that, na vana tiye ba'aretz, you will be a wanderer in the land. Okay, so let's look at Rashi Pasuk Chet. Vayomer Kayin. Kayin said, Nichnas imo bedivrei riv umasa, that he engaged with him in an argument and dispute. Leitolel alav leorgo, in order that he gets angry so that he has a reason to kill him. V'yesh bazem midrashe agada. There's a lot of midrashim with regards to this, of what the argument was. So I have a nice perush here in the name of the Gur Aryeh, and he writes the following: Ki shalosh machlokot yesh bazeh. He says there are 3 machlokot. Yesh mi shesover shayu cholkim ki Kayin natal karkaot veHevel natal mitaltelim. That there are those that hold that Kayin wanted to take the land, and Hevel wanted to take mitaltelim, things that you can move, not land. Kayin said, Karka she'ata omed alea shelihi. The land that you're standing is mine. That's what he told Hevel. VeHevel amar, ma she'ata loveh shelihu. Well, what you're wearing is mine. That's one argument that some say they had. Some say they were arguing on the Bet HaMikdash. Some say no, it's on my land. Some say no, it's on my land. Some say they were arguing on that extra twin. Remember that extra twin girl that we talked about? Like Rashi said before, that Hevel noldu shte toamot. Ve'im Kayin teoma achat. Kayin amar ani notla shani bechor. Kayin said, I need to take that extra twin because I'm the bechor, and I get double, and therefore the extra twin is mine. VeHevel amar ani notla shenota imi. And Hevel said, no, I'm taking the twin because she was born with me. So that's what the argument was. Nevertheless, he got upset, he killed him. So Hashem, Rashi Pasuk Tet, Hashem tells Kayin, Hevel achicha, where is Hevel your brother? Leikanes bedivrei nachat. He wanted to enter the conversation softly to see what Hevel would say. Ulai yashiv v'yomar ani harakti v'chatati lecha. Maybe he'll answer, he'll admit that he sinned. He said, listen, I'm sorry, I sinned, I killed him. But he said, lo yadati. Lo yadati. I don't know. Na'aseh kegonev da'at ha'elyonah. One who is, he made himself like he stole the knowledge of above. One who is gonev da'at elyonah believes that not everything is revealed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can say I don't know, and God, because I truly believe that God doesn't know what's happened. That's gonev da'at elyonah. So he answers, Hashomer achi, am I the watch keeper of my brother? Leshon temahu. V'chen kol hein nekuda b'chatav patach. Hashomer, the hey, Hashomer is in form of a question. Demei achicha, the bloods of your brother. So Rashi says, why is demei in plural, the bloods? So you should say dam achicha, or damo achicha. So Rashi says, damo vedam zarayotav. It's not only the blood of Hevel that you killed, but it's also the blood of his offspring in the future that also died. That will no longer live, or will never live, because you killed it. That's one explanation. Rashi says also, davar acher, another explanation, she'asa bo petzaim harubeh. He wounded him in many different spots when he killed him. Shelo haya yodea mehecha nafsho yotzah. He didn't know what part of the body do I need to strike hard to kill the person. So first, here he's hitting his leg over and over. He's not dying. So then he's hit the arms. Nothing's happening. Right? It's just the first murder ever. So he needs to find out where it is. So he had a lot of bloods, a lot of wounds that were exiting him. Part of the curse was that the min adama asher pasat piha, the ground that opened up, yoter mima shenitkalela hi kvar ba'avona, more than what it was already cursed, Okay, with the sin. V'gam bezo hosifa lachto, and even here it continued to sin. So according to Rashi, God is blaming the ground for absorbing the blood of Hevel. V'gam bezo hosifa lachto asher patzta et pia lakachat demei achicha, because it opened up to absorb the blood. Ve'ineni mosif laklala etzlecha. So therefore, I'm going to add an additional curse for you. Lo tosef tet kocha. That it's not this ground is not going to provide for you things. You're going to have a lot of difficulty producing food. Na vanad, Rashi pasuk Yud Bet, who says a wanderer. En lecha reshut ladur b'makom echad. You don't have permission to dwell in one place. Okay. Let's do a little bit more. Vayomer Kayin el Adonai. Let's finish the aliyah. Vayomer Kayin el Adonai. Kayin said to God, Gadol avoni mineso. My sin is too great to bear. Hen gerashta oti hayom. You sent me away me'al penei adama, from the land, u'mipanecha esater, and from you I will hide. Va'iti na vanad ba'aretz. I'm going to be a wanderer in the land. Va'ya kol motzi yargeni. Everybody who sees me is going to want to kill me, because I'm just a wanderer. I got no purpose. Vayomer lo Adonai. So God told him, Lachen kol ore Kayin. Anyone who kills Kayin, shivatayim yukam, will be sevenfold vengeance, 7 times vengeance. Vayasem Adonai leKayin ot. So God made a sign on Kayin, lebiti akototo kol motzeo, so that no one can kill him. No one will strike him when he finds him. Vayetze Kayin milifnei Adonai. Kayin left from in front of God. Vayeshev be'eretz Nod kitmat Eden, and he dwelled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Vayeda Kayin et ishto. Kayin knew his wife, again knew her intimately. Vatar vatelet et Chanoch, and she conceived and she bore Chanoch. Vahi bonei air, and he was a builder of a city. Vayikra shem ha'ir kashem beno Chanoch, and he called the name of the city like the name of his son Chanoch. Vayivaled lachanoch et Irad. Chanoch gave birth to Irad. Ve'irad yalad et Mechuyael. Irad gave birth to Mechuyael. Mechuyael yalad et Metushael. And Mechuyael gave birth to Metushael. Metushael yalad et Lamech. Metushael gave birth to Lamech. Okay, so let's look at Rashi. Pasuk Yud Gimel. Gadol avoni mineso. Bitmiya, he's wondering. Atat to'en elyonim ve'tachtonim. Va'avoni efshar lit'on. He had a great claim here, Kayin. Kayin said, you know for a fact that the people who live on earth are going to sin. You already said, Ki yetzer lev adam rami ne'orav, that human beings have a yetzara. So why did you create them? If it's to serve you, then if the whole reason why you created beings to serve you, you already have the elyonim, you already have the angels that serve you. So therefore, there must be an option for teshuvah, he's saying. And therefore, why can't you take my sin? Why can't you bear my sin? Gadol avoni mineso. Avoni efshar lit'on. My sin you can't bear. So lachen kol horei Kayin. Ze echad min hamikraot shekitzru divrehem. This is one of the pesukim that the words are shortened. V'ramzu velo pirshu. They were hinted and alluding to, but they weren't explained. Lachen kol horei Kayin. Therefore, anyone who kills Kayin, lashon ge'ara, this is a threat. Ko yaseh lo kach v'kach onsho. This is what will happen to him, and this is his punishment. Velo peresh onsho. But the Torah doesn't tell us what the punishment is of the person that kills Kayin. Shivatayim yukam, 7-fold vengeance. Rashi says, Eni rotze leinakem mekayin achshav. God said, I don't want to take revenge on Kayin now. Lesof shiva dorot ani nokem nikmati mimenu. But after 7 generations, that's when I will have my vengeance. Shi'amod lemech mibnei banav v'yargeu. Lemech will stand up from his, Lemech being one of his great-great-grandkids, who we just spoke about, he will come and kill him. V'sof ha'mikra she'amar shivatayim yukam. The end of the pasuk that said 7-fold vengeance. V'hi nikmat Hevel mikayin. This will be the nekama of Hevel who died. Lamanu shetchilat hamikra leshon ge'arahu shelo teh b'riya mazikato. V'kayotze bo. Similarly, we see this. Vayomer David kol makeh yevusi v'yiga betzinor. This is with regards to the Yevusi were the Yevusim were the descendants of Avimelech, which made a covenant with Abraham Avinu. And when the Jewish people conquered their land, the Yevusi placed two tzelamim, two idols, at the top of the mountain, and they wrote the Shevuah. They wrote the promise that Abraham Avinu made with Avimelech that no one would conquer. And they were haughty. They became arrogant because every time they saw those two tzelamim, David couldn't do anything. David couldn't enter the city, and therefore they called those tzelamim ivrim pischim, those who were blind and those who were piseach, lame, because the Jewish people couldn't do anything. But after the brit ended, the pact ended between the two of them, that's when David entered. So that's what Rashi is referring to now. וכיוצא בו ויאמר דוד כל מכה יבוסי ויגע בצינור ולא פירש מה יעשה לו. אבל דיבר הכתוב ברמז, כל מכה יבוסי, whoever strikes the יבוסי ויגע בצינור, and we'll touch the tzינור there, the pipe, I believe, ויקרב אל השער ויכבשנו, and reach the gate and conquer it, ואת העברים, וגם, and the עברים, which is reference to those צלמס, וגם אותה יכה על השעמנו, העיוור והפיסח לא יבוא לתוך הבית, and you'll also strike those who said that the lame and the blind will not enter the bait. David said, whoever strikes the Yebusim, I'm going to make them into a leader, into a sar. So kan kitzer devarav, here also the lashon was shortened. In Divrei Yamim, it actually writes that what the reward was going to be. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is basically hinting that, those who kill Kayin will also going to receive a reward. Not now, but in the future will become someone great. Vayasem Adonai leKayin ot, God made for Kayin a letter, and it says, Chakak lo ot mishemo b'mitzcho. He engraved a letter of his name on his forehead. Some say, Rashi says, Kol motzi yargeni habemot ve'hayot, that he should also fear the animals. Aval bnei adam adayin lo ayu she'ira mehem rak avi ve'imo. But with regards to human beings, there wasn't anyone that would fear. The only one they feared was avi ve'imo. Umehem lo haya yareh she'arguhu. I fear my parents, but I don't fear that they're going to kill me. Okay, so therefore, what God says, Kayin says, until now, my whole pachad is on the chayot, on the wild beasts. Now that I sinned, the animals are not going to be scared of me, and they're going to kill me. So So what God did by putting that sign on Kain's forehead is that even the animals and the beasts will be afraid from Kain and won't attack him. So Vayetze Kain went out, Yatza be'achna'a, he went out be'achna'a, kegonev da'at elyona. Again, it seems like nothing worked, like he went and stole the da'at of God. Be'eretz nod, be'eretz shekol hagolim nadim sham. In the land where all those who are exiled wander. Kidmat Eden, to the east of Eden. Sham gala aviv keshegorash migan Eden, that's where his father stayed when he was kicked out of Gan Eden. Shneimar vayashken mikedem legan Eden lishmor. We just learned today that, or in the beginning of the Shiur, that's where Adam went. Et shemirat derech mevo agan. That's where they were protecting the road that leads to the Gan. Sheyesh limod shaya Adam sham, to teach us that Adam was there. Umatzinu ruach mizrachit koletet, and we see that the easterly direction always is an asylum. Bekol makom et harotzchim. Whenever you have murderers, Shneimar az yavdil Moshe mizracha shamish. In the pasuk with regards to Ir Miklat, it was mizracha shamish, the eastern direction. Davar acher me'eretz nod. What does it mean be'eretz nod? Kol makom sheolech hayta aretz mizda'azat tachtav. Wherever Kain would walk, the earth would shake underneath him. V'abriot omrim, and the people would say, Suru me'alav, stay away from him. Zeu sharag et achiv. This is the guy that killed his brother. Vahi, and it was Kain. Kain was the one who was Bonei, who built the city. Vayikra Shema'ir, and he called the name of the city Lezecher Beno Chanoch, to commemorate his son Chanoch. Ve'irad Yalad, Irad gave birth to Mechuyael. Yesh makom shehu omer bezachar holid. Sometimes you'll see the verb holid. Yesh makom shehu omer Yalad. Sometimes it says Yalad. Haleda meshameshet shten leshonot. When you see leda, it's two expressions. Leda ha'isha, Okay, right, that's a French term. Uzriyat tordot ha'ish, and as well as the offspring of man. Keshu omer holid b'lishon hif'il, when the verb that's used is holid, medaber beledat isha, it's talking about the birth of a woman. Ploni holidet ishto ben obat. Okay, so this one caused his wife to give birth a son or daughter. Ukshu omer yalad, but when it says yalad, medaber b'zriyat ha'ish, it's talking about the offspring of man, v'ubelaz anidrir, which is a French term. Okay, we'll pause here with regards to our Chumash, and let us move to the Shulhan Aruch. We are on Siman Dalid, and we are beginning a new discussion today, which is the laws of Netilat Yadayim. Again, for those online, you have a link over there where you can access text of the Shulhan Aruch and the Mishnah Berurah. We're on Siman Dalet, page Chet, I believe. You have a Mishnah Berurah in front of you. Okay. So let's read the halacha. Sif Aleph. Yirchatz yadav vivarech al netilat yadayim. A person should wash his hands and say the berachav al netilat yadayim. Says the Rama, v'yesh omrim, some say, gam asher yatzar, also asher yatzar, v'afilu lo asat serachav, and even if he didn't go to the bathroom, you should say asher yatzar, v'chen nagu, and that is the custom. Ma'im apesulim netilat yadayim mis'udah, the waters that are invalid for washing your hands for a meal, which we'll see, lekaman siman kuf samech, we'll see later on in 160, we're number 4, so we've got a long way to go. All right? Those waters are permitted to wash your hands for tefillah. We'll see the reason why. Mihu, however, yesh mi sheomer, there are those who say, lo mevarech alayu, that we shouldn't say a beracha on them. Okay. Let's look at the Mishnah Berurah. Yirchat yadav. Yesh al zeh shne te'amim. There are 2 reasons for this enactment, this waking up to wash your hands. Harosh katav, the Rosh writes, lefi sheyadayim shel adam askaniyot hem, that the hands of man are askaniyot, they move around. Ve'i efshar shelo yiga bebasar hamtunaf balayla. It's impossible that throughout the night they won't touch parts of the body that are not dirty. It's just bound to happen. You don't pay attention when you sleep. A lot of people don't pay attention when they're awake either. But definitely when you sleep. So someone asked a question, what happens if I sleep with gloves? All right? If I sleep with gloves, then he only needs to wash because of the ruach ra'ah. He still needs to wash his hands because there's an evil spirit, as we're going to see now. But he wouldn't say a bracha. Anyways, so therefore, it's impossible that he wouldn't touch parts of his body that are dirty. That's why the rabbis established a blessing for the washing of hands for Kriyat Shema and Tefillah. Rashba katav, the Rashba writes, Lefi shebashachar achar hashena, in the morning after we sleep, anu na'asim kivriya hadasha, we are like a new creation. Dichtiv, the pasuk says, Chadashim labekarim rabba emunatecha, and therefore tzrichin anu leodot lo yitparach shebera'anu lichvodo leshareto barech bishmo. We have to thank God for creating us in His honor and to serve Him and bless His name. This is why the rabbis established to say all those blessings in the morning that we do read. And therefore this was also established in the morning, to sanctify ourselves with His own holiness, and to wash with a vessel just like the Kohen washes his hands using the kiyor in the Bet HaMikdash before he goes out to perform his service. And because of this, we grab these 2 reasons, the chumrah as stringencies, as we'll see later on. If a person did not say the bracha al netilat yadayim before tefillah, shuv lo yivarech achar tefillah lekule alma. He can no longer say the beracha after tefillah according to all opinions. The reason is because tefillah is in place of the korbanot, and the washing has to be done before the sacrifices. So if you already prayed shachrit and you didn't say a beracha, or you didn't wash your hands, then you wash afterwards, obviously, and then but you don't say a beracha. Okay. Then vivarech umiyad achar netilat yevarech. Right after you wash, you say the beracha. En tzarich leamtin ala nigub. You don't need to wait for the actual drying. V'gam niguv enom en me'akev. And even drying doesn't hold back the bracha. So even if you did dry your hands, you still say a beracha. V'yesh machmirin shelo yivarech al achar she'nagev yadav. There are those who are strict and don't bless until after they washed their hands. Tisfira lehu, for they hold the end ruach ra'ah sar me'ayadayim ad achar niguv, because the only way to remove the evil spirit from your hands is after you dry them. Usvira lehu de'asu levarech b'yadayim sheruach ra'ah shora alehem, and they hold, how can you say a bracha when your hands contain an evil spirit? Aval data poskim enken, but this is not really the way how most poskim hold. Like that, you could still you could still say the bracha with your hands are wet. Kadav beseder hayom shelo yiga b'malbushav al sheitol. The Seder Hayom writes that a person should not put on his clothing until he washes his hands. It says that Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, putting on your kippah is fine. That's although it's an essential garment that we wear, but it's not actual clothing. So therefore, you can put on your kippah before washing your hands. Uba Gemara lo mashma, even though the Magen Avraham says it's not mashma, not implied from the Gemara. Ita bibrachot daf nun aleph. It's written in Masechet Brachot, page 51. Al titol chalukcha shachrit miyad hashamash v'tilbash. Don't take your chaluk, is your suit or your garment of the morning, from the hand of the shamash and wear it, mishum sakanat mazikin. And because we're worried about damaging angels, ela yitleu be'atzmo mimakom shehu sham. But rather, you should take, you have to take the garments yourself from where it is. Va'afilu oto hashamash kvar natal yadav. Even if the shamash already washed his hands, you shouldn't take from him. Amrina b'Gemara, the Gemara says there, rochetz adam panav yadav v'raglav bechol yom mishum kevod kono. And that a person should wash his hands and feet every day, and his face, as an honor to the Creator. And in our countries, she'enanu holchim yechefim, where we do not walk barefoot, en tzarich lirchot raglav shachrit, the person doesn't need to wash his feet because we're wearing shoes. Says the Rama, you also have to say gam asher yatzar, the bracha of asher yatzar. Hata mishum de baboker naaseh kebriya chadasha. In the morning we are like a new creation. Utzrichin anu leodot lo, we have to thank God. V'nitkan birkat Elohai neshama ala neshama, and the bracha of Elohai neshama was instituted for our soul. V'asher yatzar al yetzirat haguf. Asher yatzar was for the formation of our body. So we have two brachot there, one back to back, and they should be said back to back. There shouldn't be a pause. Asher yatzar Elohai neshama. V'yesh od te'amim acherim. There are other reasons. Ayen ba'acharonim. You can see in the Acharonim. The Katava Pri Megadim, the Pri Megadim writes, according to the reason that we are like a new creation every morning, if a guy was awake all night, then he's not a new creation. He was awake all night. So you didn't go to sleep. Therefore, a person cannot say Asher Yatzar if he didn't go to the bathroom. So a person who stayed up all night has to wash with a beracha, according to the Rashba, who says because we're a Bria Chadasha, because of Lo Plug. The Biur Halacha says it's also Chidush HaOlam. It's almost like a renewal of the world. But we do not say Elohai Neshama if a person stayed up all night. It's best to hear from someone who went to sleep. Here, let him say the beracha, and then maybe answer amen. Yes, omrim. Teim hishtin balayla. The person went to urinate at nighttime. Yuchal lismoch le'inyan birkat asher yatzar al asher yatzar de shachrit. He can basically push off the asher yatzar at that moment at 2 a.m. with the one he's going to say for shachrit. V'tzarich iyun ledina, but nevertheless, this requires a lot of iyun. גם פעמים רבות יקרה שבבוקר משתוקק עוד הפעם לטלת מרגליים, and it could be many times it'll happen, he'll yearn to go to the bathroom again. ולא יוכל לחול עוד הברכת אשר יצא דבבוקר, הזו הטלת הלילה, and now you can't make that asher yatzar of the morning, that one in the middle of the night onto the one at night, like we're going to see in Siman Zayin, b'Mishnah Berurah Siv Katan Aleph, because you went more than once. So v'yirei shamayim yachmir al atzmo v'yitol yadav v'yitbash michnasayim. Those who fear heaven shall act strict with themselves and wash their hands, wear their pants, or yachgor b'shar davar le'afsik ben libo la'erva, and to separate their hearts from their erva, so to wear a belt of some sort. The Hasidim, of course, wear the gartel. Vivarech asher yatzar, and then say asher yatzar. Ach yireh be'eta. So remember, right? Most people, a lot of them slept unclothed. So you have to wash your hands, put on clothing, say asher yatzar, and then maybe if you want to go back to sleep, go back to bed. But that's not easy. Most people will just end up staying awake. Person needs to make sure that he's distant from the avit. The avit is like the toilet, where the meraglaim is, or the hole where you urinated. Arba amot imhu omed bechedro, at least 4 amot. Ve'im lo haya havit miyuchad lazeh, and if the toilet is not there specifically, dai batalat reve'it mayim. You just pour a little bit of water into the urine, and that kind of nullifies the urine, a revi'it of water. Okay. The Rama says even if you didn't go to the bathroom, you would still say asher yatzar. If a person wants to remove himself from doubt, try to go to the bathroom after you poured water on your hands 3 times. And when you leave the bathroom, wash your hands again, and then say asher yatzar. And this is how you would fulfill according to all opinions. Even more better, שלא יברך אפילו ברכת נטילת ידיים עד לאחר נטילה שנייה שנותר אחר יציאתו מבית הכיסא. Not even to say the bracha על נטילת ידיים until the second washing after you come out of the bathroom. ובפרט אם היה צריך לנקביו בעת נטילה ראשונה, and specifically if he needed to go to the bathroom during the first washing, שאז בוודאי אינו רשאי לברך. Then for sure you're not allowed to say a bracha, because you can't say a bracha when you have to go. It's not, that's something you're not allowed to do. וחיי אדם כתב, תנכון להמתין מלברך על נטילת ידיים על אחר שמנקה עצמו ורוצה להתפלל. It's best to say על נטילת ידיים once everything is clean, your whole body is clean. We spoke about that last week. And the person wants to pray. עיין שם טעמו. אחר כך מצאתי בספר מעשה רב שכן היה נוהג הגר"א. That's what the Gra used to do. ועיין בביאור ההלכה. All right, we'll see. Okay, the Shulhan Aruch says that any waters that are invalid for Netilat Yadayim for the meal, the Kaman Siman Kuf Samech, and there Mishnah Berurah says Dehainu Mayim Shenishtanu Marehen, water that their appearance changed, or Nasu Bahem Melacha, or work was done with the water, or Meluchim, or it's salted, Sluchim, or spoiled, smells, She'ena Kelev Yachol Ishtot Mehem, where even a dog won't drink, Mishum Achi Ruim Letfilah, but they're still appropriate for Tfilah. The Kan Lo Tzarich Rach Mishum Nekiut Be'alma. Here we just need, we just need to clean them. The Lo Mevarech, Shulchan Aruch says, some say we don't say the bracha. רוצה לומר על נטילת ידיים, רק על נקיות ידיים. We don't say על נטילת ידיים, but you say על נקיות ידיים. Okay, עלייהו, והאחרונים הכריעו דיוכל לברך על נטילת ידיים. But the rabbi said you could still say the bracha of על נטילת ידיים, ועיין לקמן בסעיף זין, see later on in סעיף זין, במשנה ברורה סעיף קטן ט"ז. Okay, halacha bet on top of page tet. ידקדק להערות עליהן מים. Shalosh pe'amim, we should make sure to pour 3 times water, leha'avir ruach ra'a sheshora alehen, in order to remove the evil spirit that is now sitting on our hands. Says the Mishnah Brura, Yedaktik, Ki chutz me'ata'amim hanizkarim b'sifkat aleph, in addition to the reasons that were mentioned in Sifkat and Aleph, shetzarich litol yadav l'tfilah, tzarich litol gam mishum ruach ra'a shorei al yadayim. You also have to wash your hands for the bad, evil spirit that's on your hands. Achecha da netilah hu mishum ruach ra'a levad lo ayu metaknim ha'beracha azeh bracha. But just for ruach ra'a, the chachamim were not going to establish a blessing. Lachen anu tzrichim gam l'ta'amim. We need the other reasons as well. Le'arot alehen v'yitlem lechatchila al perek hazeroa. You should wash at least to the wrist. But if a person does not have water, it's enough until the knuckles, the end of the fingers. And a person should bend his, stretch out his palms like he wants something. And lift him up by his head. As well, it's very good to rinse your mouth. But he shouldn't do it on a ta'anit zibur. On a fast day, if he's really, really uncomfortable without rinsing his mouth, then he could rinse his mouth, but he should make sure to keep his head down so that he doesn't swallow it. Okay, but you cannot do this is only on a ta'anit zibur like Asara B'Tevet, which we just had, or Shiva Asar B'Tamuz. But Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, we don't even do that. Shalosh pe'amim, 3 times. Va'afilu shofech harbe bepam achat eno mo'id. Even if you pour liters and liters of water once, it doesn't help. You need 3 times. The evil spirit is only removed with a washing of 3. You do once on the right and then once on the left. Like this, alternatively. Right, left, right, left, right, left. In the Sefer called Maaser Rav, he writes, 4 פעמים. He says you do it 4 times. 3 פעמים להעביר רוח רעה, 3 times to remove the evil spirit, והרביעית להעביר המים שנטמעו, and the 4th time to remove the water that became impure as a result for sitting on your hands. צריך להזהיר לנשים שיזהרו בנטילת ידיים 3 פעמים בסירוגין כמו הנשים. We also have to warn women that they are careful to wash their hands 3 times like men. וגם כי הם מתקנות המאכלים שלא יטמאו בידיהם. Especially that they are often preparing food, we don't want them to be metameh, to make food impure with their hands. It's also important that we warn and teach our children that they should wash their hands because they also touch food. They say that a person who washes the hands of a child from the day of his brit milah is called a kadosh. In fact, right? Some say, okay, it's hard to do it from the day of the Brit Milah, but you can maybe do it from the day that they begin to walk. But touching food of non-Jews without Netilat Yadayim, you don't have to worry about it. The food of the non-Jews is not mekabel tuma. All right, halacha gimel. Lo on top. Lo yiga biyado kodem netila lapev lo lachotem lo laoznaim lo enayim. Before you wash your hands, you cannot touch your mouth, your nose, your ears, or your eyes. Mishnah Berurah says kodem netila mipenei sharuach ra'a shorei al yadayim, because we have this evil spirit on our hands. Yuchal le'azik le'elu ha'evarim. It could cause damage to these limbs. Touching clothing is fine. Nothing wrong with touching clothing. Even touching the eye from the outside. Now this is probably the hardest one to do, right? Touching your nose and ears, okay, I can avoid. But one of the hardest things to do is when you wake up, you want to rub your eyes. You want to rub your eyes. It's very unhealthy to rub your eyes. I was taught that before I got my eye surgery. So whatever you do, you shouldn't rub your eyes after the surgery. And they said you shouldn't even rub your eyes even before surgery. It's very detrimental for your eyes. And what's more spiritually damaging is waking up, not washing your hands, and touching your eyes. So therefore, like Shulhan Aruch said, that's something we need to be careful of. Halacha dalid. Afilu mishen natal yadav. Even someone who washes hands, lo yimashmesh befi tabat tamid. He should not touch his rectum often, because it might lead him to hemorrhoids or again pain and illnesses below. Lower teeth. Yeah, the lower teeth. From last week. Lo yiga bimkom hakazab. don't touch in a place that you've bled before without washing your hands. Because touching with your hand will cause more damage to the wound. Says Mishnah Berurah, afilu misha natal yadav vekodem netila. Before you wash your hands, yesh osim midiga befi atabat afilu b'mikre. Some say you shouldn't touch it even by chance. V'chen la'ama b'mkom hanekev afilu munasuin, as well as the area of the penis, that area which we spoke about last week. Even if he's married, he shouldn't touch. V'chen ka'igavdam b'mkom nekev hakaza, and as well in the place where there's the spot of the wound. Ki az yuchal haruach ra'a le'azik lekol nekev shebaguf. This evil spirit, this ruach ra'ah, any place where there's an opening in the body, whether it's the rectum or all the reproductive organs, or you have a wound, you touch it, it's bad news. So that's why the nose, the eyes, the ears, all of this is all connected, because they're all considered chalulim in the body, and therefore we have to be careful. Let's learn one more halacha. Lo yiga begigit shechar. Person should not touch a barrel of beer. Shemishmu shayad mafsida shechar. Because again, touching with your hand would cause the beer, the shechar, to lose its potency and its ability to, I guess, to be good. Mishnah Berurah says, if a person touches his food before he washes his hands, and le'esor hama'achal al yedezeh, it doesn't mean that the food is not kosher. It's not like it's prohibited. But really, lechatchila, we should make sure and try not to touch it. What happens if he does touch it? He should wash the food 3 times. We're rinse it off well. Shouldn't drink tobacco, type of, this may apply to cigarettes, also as a type of tobacco, although we don't use the verb of drinking, but any form of that before you wash your hands, it shouldn't be done. Okay, we're gonna end here. Bezrat Hashem, we will continue in a few weeks' time after winter break. We'll notify our listeners when that will be. Wishing everybody a wonderful night and a wonderful winter break. We'll see you soon.